So having verified proof that the revered rabbi and his further, unlike his wife, whereabouts and conditions was unknown, and 6 years passing since he'd seen him, he remained thankful that somebody somewhere had, while he couldn't in the least assist in arranging for the stay here at Air of Promise Care Facility, stepping into the high-rise and thankful that his father was away from civil unrest. Social upheaval and rank chaos in the streets recently threatened by an intercontinental ballistic missile strike found sanctum here, this facilitating person to his unawares. And confound him twice already. Was only 3 floors above him and 1 full heart hall straight away after riding the facility's elevator. Joel heard the familiar sound that he ever referred to as the cascading liquid swell that was his bow feather grazing the notes off of his Stradivarius fretboard and into the air soaring them. From distance after exiting the taxi hearing such over the sound of gunshots popping off their crackle not too far away the notes stabbing and leaping and some terrific Andante Allegro run motif. That's not too bad, Joel said impressively seconds after waving to the taxi driver who he'd asked to wait around for him after taking Joel's money, the same man over the steering wheel and beneath the rearview mirror and strip of tinted glass peering through the tops of his eyes. Where's that coming from? He'd asked Joel. The latter surveying the air around him and inhaling the rarefied nose-throttling and eye-bleeding sulfuric smell that he hadn't ever known as indigenous to this part of his USA home in New York. Joel, with his hand resting on top of the cab's passenger side searingly hot roof, answered that he hadn't known. Adding, I played for years before I could play that Vivaldi piece seamlessly. Several years. This guy's at the point I'd arrived at when knowing that full well I'd learned this song as is compulsorily demanded of me. Sounds fantastic. Where is he? Joel went up to the man and upon non-verbal invite he, leaning against the care facility home and with appreciation watching the man he figured looked way too haggard for his young age, upon asking him if he may he gingerly reached his arms out and grabbed a hold of what catch the gleam of even an otherwise drab overcast day of grey. Joel played his own run of a personal rendition inspired by an Antonio Vivaldi piece and then the few folks enveloping on the generously offered him money. Joel opportuned an occasion to remind that notes with deceased presidents' photos stamped thereupon could maybe only at great risk to the attendant score you a cup of coffee, dipping down with one shoulder and putting it in the man's case. Or starting to. Before an urge to dignify a request had overtaken him when recalled he most demonstrably this time what he'd in the imagination faculty heard. It was while he was airlining it back to the States, from far away with wings over top of the Mediterranean Sea as spectator, watching the two of them while during an improvisation session adjusting the 16th track recording buttons, if improvisation could be a tall session. Sola Christus, sings the choir to ode to joy or joy of man's desiring, to be qualified in full measure yet air indebted, unearning. For good treasure paying pocketlessly, dearly with one life to give air retiring, solified. 'Tis faith alone as winnow in flame that keeps spirit in heart a burning. Ere grateful for but one gift to live and to this one good grace imbue, the resplendent orchestration of sovereign sufficiency that is Christ's life alone, in you. Sola Gratia then, a grace orchestration rearranging called by any other name, it slips under feet what Jesus by atonement completes in holiness to fame. But ere final hour in time, hope's assurance received is thine, 'tis God's grace efficacious that faith enshrines, scarcely egregious the price with Lord's sacrifice, his mercy throne salvation does vanquish shame. The conclusion of the matter pertaining to accounts paid in full or those self-assuming, all constructs in commonality accounting, receive we Yeshua's blood liberating instead of wrath consuming. Soli Deo Gloria, Lord of salvation and sole waterer of all earth, if of 1,000 transgressions that amongst them might be, that should we from grace contemplation find mind's slight turn, then pray we you grant several in one reason alone that we might see, till our Calvary-Cross gift remind again and we our inheritance relearn. Joel mouthed to him when the musician followed suit, wishing to show appreciation in the same monetary way. What can I do with this? No, you keep what's yours and, without disguising it, Joel like an attending physician once it over the violin's owner, and the passed his eyes over again. He continued upon ruminating, even now the musician's entitled his wages. You know, if you go down to there to attempt it, an exchange, it could come with a whole lot of complications for you. Kinda past the deadline, you'll be up there with them. Joel nodded his head toward the hills, indicating mountain ranges. He said something in reply. Joel smiled oddly, itself like his gaze distant, languid, scarcely permitting a shadow's pass that it should attempt to oust light. I know you don't, I know. You wouldn't be out here sailing notes from an intersection if you did. Rock on, my friend. It was a US dollar that he had handed off to Joel. Joel and he talked for quite a while after hearing some about the man's situation and upon prognosticating without the stretch certain dire straits up ahead that to Joel's surmising had more than likely already felt like a suffocating plastic sack over the head of the man. After disappearing between the tight space between two jutting walls, Joel re-pocketed his pen, appearing to the man that Joel, courteously asking for permission to steal away there, a wall against which the men watched curiously as Joel began to scribble something, here, from that short pocket. He stuffed a small pocket envelope into the man's awaiting hand, both flummoxed and bustling about with anticipation when Joel outstretched his hand to feather it there, muttering something quietly as he had. So you heard me, right? Don't open it until after I leave here, cool? An hour, tops, just do that for me? Scarcely a leap to say that you can use it more than I, especially as I return back to overseas. Could it easily be been me instead of you. Joel flashed back to his compulsory overseas stay in Tehran. You'll find a man there who'll go to pains to make certain you have everything you might require. Thinks of it as if it's his, so you might want to keep him in line. Joel laughed good-naturedly and relaxed the look of implied stark compliance for the man who uneasily smiled while reaching for he didn't know what. If you're good to it, it'll be good to you. As good as free and clear, you got that? As long as you wish. You're a brave man out here and quite prolifically calling attention to yourself. Different times even more than before, friend. You'll see that. I gotta run and I'll see you upon my exit unless you scat now. Almost as soon the nurse led him to the room and discreetly inasmuch as the person could Joel shared a few hellos with healthcare team tending to both nursing and administrative duty.